So, good day, ladies and gentlemen, once again. This is business branding class. And then, of course, we are going to be having Mr. Alfred Adejumakinwa, the CEO, Business IQ Africa, talking to us about business branding. You are welcome, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Adiola. And I really appreciate this opportunity that you have given to me. And I want to also appreciate everyone in the room and those who are still expecting. And so I'll start very quickly so that we can move on. There are lots of ground that we have to cover this evening, but I try to do that within that 40 minutes that we have. Now, business branding. I am sure you must have heard that word over and over again if you're an entrepreneur or you are in business. Business branding is a combination of two words, business and branding. So a lot of us probably understand what business means. Business is simply the buying and selling of products or services. That's what we mean by business. So that becomes a transaction business. Then branding is from the word brand. Branding is from the word brand. You know, the ing in front of the word brand, that is the suffix in front of it, is from the word brand. So what is a brand? Because you must first understand the word brand first. What is a brand? A brand is any product that is manufactured under a particular name. A brand is any product that is manufactured under a particular name. That is, for me as an individual, I am manufactured under a particular name. My name is Alfred. That makes me a brand. That makes you a brand. That makes every participant a brand. So what is the product? Whether you are just starting launch a product or a service, that product, that service becomes a brand. It becomes a brand. So the question now is, what is branding? What is branding? Branding is a way of identifying your business. It is a way of identifying your business. You know, branding, it is how you want your customers to recognize or perceive your business. It is the experience you create for them as regarding your business. So when we say brand now, let's say, for example, me, Alfred, as a brand, or you as an individual as a brand. Now, how do you want people to perceive you? How do you want people to receive you? How do you want people to recognize you? That is what branding is all about. And it is important also that we understand that when we're looking at the word branding, it is beyond just the logo of the business. It is beyond just the logo of the business. So we'll try to understand what branding or business branding entails. But I believe that definition is clear. It is a way of identifying your business, how you want your customer to recognize or to perceive your business, the experience that you want them to have when they come in contact with your business. That is what branding is all about. The important thing is that your brand must reflect what your business stands for. So if you're looking at branding, it must reflect what your business stands for. It must reflect what your business stands for and what differentiates your business from the competitors. Because whether you like it or not, you are not the only one in that business. And because you are not the only one in that business, it is important that you stand out. And the surest way or the best way for you to stand out of the crowd or from all other competitors is through your branding. So that is why branding is essential. Also, you must understand that you must consider branding in the early stage of your business. Before you start the business, or when you started the business, you must consider branding in the early stage of the business. Because if you want customers to perceive your business in a certain way, if you want customers to perceive your brand in a certain way, you must introduce it in the early stage of the business. So it is important that you introduce it in the early stage of the business. And before you put in on your business, you must do what we call market research. You must do what we call market research. You don't just wake up and decide to say, oh, this is how I want them to perceive me. This is how I want people to see my brand. No, you have to first and foremost do what we call market research. I always define market research as simply understanding your customers and their behavioral pattern and how they spend their money. Understanding your customers, their behavioral pattern, and how they spend their money. So it is important that you carry out a market research to first and foremost understand your market. Who are the people that I'm going to be selling to? Who are the people that I want them to buy my product? What is the market size of these people? How do they behave? How do they think? It's important. What is their purchasing power? You know, all these are important. All these is inside market research. That is why you must conduct market research. But this class is not for market research, so we may not be going into that. So what I've just said in a nutshell is that first and foremost, you must understand that business branding is a way that you want your customers to perceive your brand, how you want them to recognize your brand when they see your brand. Then we also said that it is important that you start this in the early stage of your business. And also your business branding must reflect what your business stands for. It must reflect what your business stands for. And lastly, we said you must first understand the people that you want to target by carrying out your market research. So now let's look at types of business branding, types of business branding. Because if you're going to be branding your business, you must know the different types and you must know which aspect of it your business falls into. The first attitude branding. About attitude branding, we are not looking at the product or the service that the business is rendering, but you are looking at the feeling, how you want people to the experience that you want to give to your clients when they come in contact with your product or your service. So you are not actually looking at the product per se, but it has everything to do with the feeling, what they feel when they come in contact with your product. Take, for example, we have products like Nike. They use what we call attitude branding. You know, when you buy a Nike sneakers, it's the attitude, it's in the attitude. It is not just in the product, but they have a way of communicating how they want you to feel when you hold or when you buy their product. So that is what we call attitude branding. That is, you are not so crazy for people to be so particular about the product per se, that is in quote, but you are more concerned about the feeling, the experience when they come in contact with your product. Then the second one we're going to look at for this class is the symbolic brands, or the symbolic branding. Symbolic branding. Symbolic branding is close or similar to attitude branding, but it is used for services. It is similar to attitude branding, but it is used for services. such as, banks or phones, they use symbolic branding. When they take, for example, if you look at GTB, when they came up with that's their TV had that they did 737 code, it's in the symbol. They want you to identify with the symbol of the brand. So symbolic branding, it goes into what the service of the business represents. That is what symbolic branding is all about. The third one that we're going to look at here is the third one is the functional branding. The third one is the functional branding. Now, what is functional branding? Functional branding is simply when you are actually expecting the customer to buy the product or patronize the service based on the features of the product or the features of the service. You are more concerned about the functional part of the product. You are not more concerned about the features of the product. So that is what we mean by functional branding. Take, for example, if we look at iPhones, we will probably be saying, oh, what are the functions? What are the things that this particular phone can do for you? You see, when phone companies, when they do adverts of their telephones, they try to highlight the features, the things that they want you to know that this phone can do for you. That is what we call functional branding. The next one we're going to quickly hit at is the individual branding. The individual branding. Now, the individual branding is mostly used by large corporations or bigger businesses. Individual branding, businesses that has several products, and so they brand each product on itself. They want each product to have its own customers. Take, for example, if we look at MultiChoice. MultiChoice has what we call DSTV, and they also have the GoTV. It is the same organization. It is almost similar product or the same product that they are selling, but they created DSTV separately for the middle class and the upper class, and then they created the GoTV for the lower class. That is individual branding. They brought out the products that they are selling and they brand each product separately. Individual branding can be dangerous sometimes, because when you brand, take for example, you have a primary product that you are selling before now. Say the way DSTV, the way MultiChoice was selling DSTV package, and then they came up with GoTV. You may be surprised that such product like GoTV can take over the customers of DSTV. But companies, organizations still do that. They do what we call individual branding. And then the last one that I'm going to just discuss is own branding. OWN, own branding, own branding. This is when a retailer brands its product after itself. This is when a retailer brands its product after itself. We'll see that in the fashion industry, when you look at Louis Vuitton, Ralph Lauren, these are individual, these are retailers or businesses that branded their product after their names. We have people like House of Tara, they branded it after their names. So these are the types of branding that you need to know. So if you want to brand your product, you have to, or your business, you have to first determine which aspect you want your customer to perceive when it comes to your business. Like I said, we mentioned the attitude branding. The attitude branding has everything to do with how you want your customers to feel when they patronize or when they buy your product, the experience you want to sell to them. And we said brands like Nike, they do that a lot. The second one, we said symbolic branding. We said symbolic branding is close to attitude branding, but it is more related with the services of a particular organization or a particular business. And then we said the functional branding. The functional branding has everything to do with the features of the product that you are trying to sell. Then the individual branding, that is when a large organization has several products that they are trying to sell. Then we have the own brand. This is when a brand is named after the retailer, after the owner of the brand. So let's now look at how do you, when you are starting, how do you develop a brand? How do you develop a brand? That is business branding now. How do you develop your own brand? How do you create that for your business? How do you make your business stand out of the crowd? How do you make people see your business? And then what you want to communicate, what you want the business to stand for is what they will see when they patronize your brand. The first thing that you must do in developing your brand, like I said earlier on, is that you must carry out a market research first. You must carry out a market research first. And I said market research will help you to understand the behavioral pattern of your target customers and their purchasing power. These two things matters, because if you understand how the people you are selling to behave, how they think, how they make decisions, it will help you to be able to position your brand in such a way that they will patronize you. So you must understand their behavioral pattern. You must understand their purchasing power. So you must carry out a market research. Maybe some other time when we have the opportunity, we can look at market research in some other classes. So the market research will also help you to understand your competitor. It will help you to understand your competitor so that you know what they are doing and what they are not doing, so that you'll be able to position yourself aright in the market. It will also help you to understand the market size. It will help you to understand the market size. What is the size of the market that is available unto you? And it will also help you to create what we call the competitive advantage. Because once you know the weaknesses of your competitors, once you discover what they are not doing, and you are able to capitalize on that, it will help you create what we call competitive edge. That is competitive advantage. You are in the class of your own. You will be in the class of your own. When we look at some brands, you realize that brands like iPhone is not competing with other Android phones. No. iPhone is in the class of its own. It is not competing with any other phone market. And one of the things that gave them edge is because they own the primary technology that controls their phone. They own the primary technology that controls their phone. They are not leveraging on the Android's technology. So that makes them stands out. That gives them that competitive edge over every other phone company. So once you carry out a market research, it will give you that competitive edge. In developing your brand, the second thing that you must do is to study the already existing brand and why they are successful. That is, in the industry where your business is located. Every business is located in a particular industry. then it is important that you study that industry. You study the successful brand in that industry. Why are you studying them? You're trying to discover what is that thing that makes them successful. You know, I always say this in my business class. It makes no sense when you are reinventing the wheel. If somebody has created the wheel before now, why don't you leverage on that wheel and build from there? You know, don't start creating from afresh when you can leverage on what has been created already. So the reason why you are also studying those successful businesses is because you're trying to understand what makes them successful. And you can quickly capitalize on this thing and then be innovative and build on it. So that's the second thing that you must do. The third thing that you must do is that you must look at the business name, your business name. In fact, I always say this, the branding and the marketing of any business starts with the business name. So if there is an error with the business name, it is obvious that you may lose out on what you're trying to do or what you are trying to pass out. And I'm just quickly going to mention two things that you need to put into consideration when you are creating a business name for your business. Number one, you must create a name that is internationally appreciated. We live in a global village now. So you don't want to be limited to just your community or to just your state or to just your country. You know, even as we are talking in this conference, I know that we have people from different African countries listening to me right now. So the same way it is, you don't want to limit yourself to a particular space. That's why it's important you create a name that is internationally appreciated. Then secondly, create a name that is memorable and easy for people to pronounce. Create a name that is memorable and easy for people to pronounce. When you hear names like Facebook, Access Bank, Union Bank, Business IQ Africa, 3D Africa, these are fantastic names because these names, they are part of your everyday vocabularies. So when you hear them for the first time, it will seem as if you have been hearing them all your life. It will seem as if they are known brand. That is part of branding. Create a name that is memorable and easy for people to pronounce. Apart from looking at your business name, you also need to look at your business, your brand elements. You also need to look at what we call your brand elements. What are your brand elements? We have the name of the business, the color of the business, the logo of the business. These are the brand's element. You want to also look at the logo. You want to communicate what you want your customer to perceive about your brand through your logo. It is important. You also want to communicate it through the color of the business, whether you're using a single color or you're using two colors or you're using triple color, multiple colors. You also have to make sure that it is communicating what you want the business to stand for. It is important that you look at that. Another thing that you need to look at are your business tools. You need to look at your business tools and your marketing tools. You need to look at your business tools and your marketing tools. What do we mean by your business tools and marketing tools? Your complimentary card, your letterhead, your invoice, your receipt, all these things, your brochures, these things are your business tools. They are your marketing tools. So your branding must cover all these aspects. You must look at all these aspects and you need to look at them critically and ask yourself, how best can you pass your message to your target audience in such a way that they will understand what you are trying to say? Then the next thing you look at is your customer service style. The truth is, customers are are the lifeblood of every business. If you don't have customers, then there is no business. That is where the money is going to come from. They are also the people you want to sell your product or your brand to. So you must look at your customer service style. How do you want people to perceive your customer service? So it's important that you look at it holistically. I always like to define customer service in a situation like this. I say customer service is the attention. It is the attention you give to your customers before, during, and after they buy from you. The attention you give to your customer before, during, and after they buy from you. So you want to holistically look at these three areas of your customer service. When you are reaching out to your customer, how do you want them to perceive you? When they buy from you, how do you want them to perceive you? Also, after they have patronized you, what is the attention you still give to them? These are encompassing, and you must look at all these areas. And another area you must look at is your advertising. Now, advertising is a different topic entirely. I may not be able to go into that, but I will just do a little bit of summary around it. Advertising is from the word advertere, is a Latin word, advertere. Advertere means to turn towards, to turn towards. That's the meaning of the word advertere, to turn towards. It means that, for example, if I am going in this direction and I hear a loud noise behind me, there is every tendency I will turn towards the loud noise, but I may not go towards that loud noise. You understand me? I'm going in this direction. I hear a loud noise towards the loud. I may not go towards the loud noise. That's why we always say advertising is a form of creating awareness. So if you're looking at branding your business, you must also look at this area of your business. How do you want your target customer to perceive the awareness that you are creating for your business? So you must have your style of awareness, your style of advertising, your style of creating the awareness, and how you want people, those you are going to be selling to, how you want them to perceive it. I know I can't remember the brands off my head right now, but there are some brands. The moment you see the advert, you will know, oh, this is this particular brand. That's the way they always do their adverts. You understand me? I can't think of one off ad right now, but you must have a style of communicating your advertising, your awareness to your target customers. And the last thing I'm going to discuss on this is you must be authentic. Now, what does it mean to be authentic? All these things that we've said, there is nothing wrong with understudying successful brand. There is nothing wrong with looking at what successful brand is doing and try to copy one or two things from those successful brands. In fact, there's a saying, I can't remember who said that. He said intelligence or being smart, something like that, is to copy. He said, but genius is to steal completely. Now, even if you're stealing completely, it doesn't mean that you have to replicate everything that brand is doing. You must find your own niche. What makes you stand out? What makes you authentic? What makes you different? Every single brand copies a successful brand. But after you have successfully done that, then you need to be innovative in such a way that it puts your own brand in a class of its own. It puts your own brand in a class of its own. You must find that authenticity for your brand. You must find that thing that makes your brand stand out from every other brand, something that makes it different, something that makes it looks like what people have not seen before. So those are all the areas you must look at if you're developing your brand. So if you are developing your brand, you must look at all these areas that we have mentioned. And I can guarantee you, if you look at all these areas that we have discussed, that we have mentioned, if you do further research on them, if you attend more classes, training, seminar, conferences on them, you will be able to get more information as regarding some of these things that we just discussed. And I believe they will help you build a successful brand out there. All the best with your brand. I wish you all the best in